But I want to say that we are not going to be able to hear what she has to say if we continue to behave in this manner. This is ridiculous. You know what? We need to be civil, and we need to listen and hear both sides. I need to make that clear. I applaud her for the way she's handling this behavior. Okay, my question.
Quiet.
Okay, my question. This week, President Trump expressed his desire to end federal funding for NPR and PBS, which polling shows is opposed by a majority of Americans. Would you support or oppose this action?
So, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you that I will, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because unfortunately, first of all, no, I answered the questions, but I'll tell you why. I said yes, but I want to give you an explanation. I'll give you an explanation. I think we live now in the world where really, unfortunately, we don't have transparency in the media. We live in the world that media is very tilted, but the government shouldn't be subsidizing media. If you like NPR, you can be listening on NPR, sell advertising on NPR, and then be very well funded. If somebody likes Fox, they can do the same for Fox. So you have choices. Government shouldn't be paying and subsidizing media, and period. They do hearings right now, and we've noticed that, almost everyone there on NPR, and I actually went on NPR a few times, and I'll be honest with you, they try to be fair with me in some ways, and we talk about economic issues, and I appreciate some issues that they're willing to talk with a Republican. A lot of times they generally just attack. So I had good conversations with NPR, but I think we need to decide, and if we see that the media is very tilted, why the government should be spending, because ultimately country is, divided in some way. Why are we spending money on provided to one side but not the other side? And what should we start funding some conservative medias too? Because unfortunately public media is not doing, news that are not tilted, and unfortunately they become very polarized. So we have hearings on this issue. I do not know if this issue will come in front of us, but if it does in front of us, I just see so much. I've been dealing with media, a variety of medias, and I even go in very hostile media just to be able to have conversations. I go to MSNBC, I go on CNN and NPR, and it's not easy. Usually my colleagues don't even go, but I'm willing to go just so we have a different views and conversation. And usually it's tough. For a politician, it's real tough. But I don't think government should be really paying money and spending money subsidizing any media. There is plenty of way to fund medias now, and it's actually quite well funded anymore.
Our next question's from Ben from Westfield, number 225. That's Ben from Westfield, number 225. If you're Ben from Westfield 225, do you want to raise your hand real big and tall? Or I will ask your question if you want.
I don't have Ben, why don't you?
Okay, I'll go ahead and ask it for you. So this is from Ben from Westfield. He said, I've been a registered Republican since 1976 in Hamilton County. Always voted for Dick Lugar. Why have Republican Congress members not rein in President's illegal, unconstitutional orders?
Executive orders.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
Executive. You want me to answer a question? I'll answer a question. Executive orders, it's not a way to govern. But until Congress can pass a law, executive orders have been governing our country for a very long time. And unfortunately, to pass any law right now, it would take 60 votes. So, in the Senate, we cannot pass anything. I'll just tell you reality. It is reality. And unfortunately, right now, I agree. And unfortunately right now, there is no taste to do anything bipartisan. So everyone voted in a partisan vote. So that is the reality what's happening right now. Congress is not going to, until Congress decide that Congress is going to do a job, so it's not going to happen. And right now, I agree with you. Congress has to pass laws, has to work on issues, but Congress cannot come to an agreement. And until the party agrees to deal with this issue we agree on, nothing is going to happen. And the same situation was happening under Democrat president. You know, no one wants to work. So right now we have President Biden who running wild. You know, all presidents, now presidents do, and I do not like this because I might like executive orders today. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen in 4 years. So I'm willing to try to reform our institutions that will start doing its job, and I do as much as I can in a short majority. Unfortunately, it will take more than me, and I hope you can talk to your senators too, because you know, if Congress is not continue doing its job, we're going to be run country by executive orders, which is not a good thing for stability of the country. That's been happening now for decades. It didn't happen under this Congress or not a like Congress. So that is the reality what's happening. You know, the only way we can do it if party decide that they want to work together. You know, and I'm working extremely hard to find common ground. Actually, as a matter of fact, I passed 12 bills on the Democrats. You know, that is not that easy. But it is very, very narrow basis. Actually, on the Democrat president, and some of them were tough legislation. But I think that is important for us to do that. It's important to find common ground, but I don't think in this environment it's happening right now because people may be upset. Maybe people have a reason to do that. Maybe people just do it for the protesting. But unfortunately, no one wants to do anything right now, and that is a tough reality. So it's until Congress is going to wake up, nothing is going to happen.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. This one's from Amy and Carmel, number 121. Excellent. We'll get a microphone back to you, and I'd just like to remind everyone we appreciate you being quiet so we can hear our question asked and answered. I do.
I'm Amy from Carmel, and I work in the affordable housing field. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. What will you do to ensure that those who are most vulnerable will have access to decent and affordable housing, especially those who are elderly and or have disabilities?
There are few aspects to affordable housing. One became the price of housing, become not just unaffordable, it's becoming unachievable, not just for people, you know, on the low income, but even the people in the middle income people. And I think you've seen the prices, and it's a combinations of things, so we have to deal with the pricing. If we don't deal with inflation, mortgage prices are going to go up, so we have to deal with spending and inflation because it's become more and more unaffordable and achievable. But we also need to make sure that how we can stop this inflation and have a better economy for people with disabilities, for people, including seniors. You know, we right now spend, when I was a senator, I did a calculation. We on Medicaid, we're providing seniors, you know, nursing homes, we spend enormous amount of money. Seniors don't get the services, and you saw that a lot of them don't even go to seniors. How some of these programs for the most vulnerable actually go directly to help most vulnerable and have them make a choice. You know, what is the best care? Our Department of Child Services spend $50,000 per child per year. 5 to 10 goes to foster family. I was asking, where is the rest of the go? We can send the people to Harvard Business School for $50,000 a year. Where the money going? It's some kind of services. And no one could give an answer. These programs are getting very, very expensive. So I said, let's just, you know, let's give them cash. It's cheaper than we're going to save money. So we have to start reforming some of these programs to allow people to actually need this help, to make sure they get it, but not all of this groups of intermediaries and everyone, whether it's in healthcare or the PBMs, you can even see how much money made in pharmaceutical, and people cannot get affordable pharmaceutical. It's every area. Where is the same the services, whether it's nursing home, whether it's foster care, we have all of these intermediaries agencies spend enormous amount of money, give to a variety of organizations, and I go on the ground, and I have some very poor communities in my district, and the money are not there. I actually had a bipartisan bill that I passed with the chair of education committee at that time, Democrat, on juvenile justice prevention for at-risk youth. Because I've seen what's happening if we don't deal with kids early. You know, the kids get into criminal justice system, and then we try to get them through jails. We pass legislation. We were sending money to the state. It doesn't go to the ground. So we need to start looking how the money go, where they go, why we keep spending money, and nothing happening. So I think that's what we're trying to do, make sure we reform these programs, that we make sure the benefits for the most vulnerable, for people with disabilities, seniors are protected and improved. We need to do better benefits. I see how people struggling, but we spend more money, benefits don't get better. We have to have better outcomes, we have to have better health care, and look at how we can reform, and that's what we're gonna do, because you always have limited amount of money. We don't want to be doubling taxes on all Americans. We want to make sure that we keep taxes low, but make sure with money we have, we do a better job. And that's what we're going to start looking at some of these programs, including for the most vulnerable.
Our next question is from Richard from Zionsville, number 273. Richard from Zionsville, number 273. Not seeing you, I'm going to go ahead and ask Richard's question. And he had a very specific question I thought was great. We got lots on Social Security. Are any of our Indiana offices being closed? Richard from Zionsville wants to know.
Indiana offices?
That's what he asked.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're aware of anything, I don't. We try to keep all our offices closed too. You know, and if you're not mean to my staff, I'll keep my office open too. If they feel very, you know, they feel very worried about that, we'll have to make appointments, because my job is also make sure is that we keep people safe. But I think, you know, we're going to look, you know, I know there is a lot of drama with variety of agencies and everything else, but honestly, we try to make sure that we automate, bring technology, and make some of these agencies work better for you. And that is really seems like a common sense. We should all agree on that, but maybe it's very hard for us to agree. So I understand, but hopefully we'll find common ground at least on some of the issues.
We have another question from Tanya and Fishers, number 257.
Okay, good.
Tanya and Fishers, number 257. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask Tanya's question for her, scanning in the room, making sure I don't see her. Tanya from Fishers asks, please provide more detail of your involvement/efforts to DOGE and why you think that this will help your constituents here in the 5th District.
So I want to make sure that, well, if you want to answer the question, maybe we're getting too tired, but I think we'll at least go to 7:30 and then we'll have a personal questions, whatever you want to do. Okay, I'll just stay around here for another half an hour and do that, but let me just finish at least. Let me finish a little bit, you know, thank you, appreciate it, sir. Let me finish a little bit, a question about DOGE, you know. So I came from the auditing world, I came from the auditing profession, and in a lot of things when people come, this is a lot of business people from IT world, and what they're trying to do, they try to automate some transaction and do like some simple accounting things, you know, and the government really is so behind on all of that you would be very surprised how bad it is. You know, the simple transaction disbursed with no authorization, you know, with no approval and justification. I don't think you would be running your own business like that. None of you would just have your banking account ran like that. So this is the people from a business world, so I have a good understanding of what they're doing, and I'm trying to work with them, and I work with them quite closely. I'll be honest with you, but I want to make sure that things that are bad actually go eliminated through Congress, and not because that is job of a Congress to make sure that the bad stuff and fraud goes through Congress. So my job is working with them to make sure that we can pass proper legislation, that we don't have to be continued dealing with fraud and abuse, and keep the promised benefit to the people and have a better system to monitor how your money are spent. That's what I try to do, but I work very, very closely with them personally. And unfortunately, it's so loud, so probably you don't want to listen to me in all of the details, but if you're very interested, I will be providing more information, and I send my newsletters and always give details on different things. But hopefully you can agree through things with me in the long run.
We have a question from William from Westfield, number 172. William from Westfield.
I'm walking, everybody, let's go.
We'll get a mic to you in just a second, sir. Thank you for being patient.
Walk out.
We have a...
Walk out. Walk out. Let's go. Walk.
Okay.
Okay, we have a question.
We might wrap up a little bit early.
We have a question from William from Westfield.
Walk
Thank you,
out.
sir.
Let's go.
Okay.
Walk out.
It's not working.
Question has already been answered. What you have on these phony graphs that you have up here. I can tell you this, that I would not be standing close to the Congresswoman because she's going to get hit by lightning for all the lies that she's been telling.
Well, good. You don't have to stand by me. But this is graph from Congressional Budget Office. Actually, a lot of Democrats now like, and Republicans don't. So if you don't like, and actually, listen, CBO is not perfect, but if we wouldn't have CBO, the country would completely run wild and we would completely bankrupt the country. So actually, Congressional Budget Office right now, that's what the graphs are. They're not done from me. I don't create them. They do this graph, so this is the reality. My party is now questioning a lot of this, what CBO is counting, because they don't like some things. And I said, well, you cannot just change accounting when you don't like the result. So I pushed back on my own party and I said, we have to be accounting the same accounting. We need to make sure, and I am not allowing them to change accounting methods, and then it's got a big fight with the Senate. So we'll see what the Senate is going to come. Senate wants to change accounting. I don't think it's right. And I am not agreeing to that. And that's a resolution we're going to see how it's going to come. I haven't seen it. Senate probably going to vote next week. And if they're going to change baseline, I'm not going to be supporting that. So maybe for a different reason than a lot of, but if Senate is going to change accounting methods to show that tax cuts have no effect, I am not supporting that. We need to be honest. We need to see what is going to the economy, what is not, and where is the bad stuff. We need to start balancing the books. And CBO might be not perfect, but we need to have that. So that's what Samson is got is big on the table, but that's what this graph said. They're not created by me. Be happy. You can look online and see them. But this is all CBO numbers, so that came from, they have reports, they do that, and I send them. Yeah, it's from their reports. Yeah, I'll be happy, and if you want to email, I provide it. This is the handout they do. They actually issued new economic outlook yesterday. So this is probably from my August town hall I did on the fiscal issues, but yes, from yesterday might have a little bit different, but I don't think it's much changed.
We have a question from Melissa from Carmel, number 362. Okay, we'll get a microphone to you
I'm going to
shortly.
get any
Thank you for
easy
your
questions
patience.
or not? So no? Okay. Toughens me up. I'm telling you always the truth. You might not like, but I'll tell you always the truth. You might not agree with me, but I'll tell you the truth.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Let's listen to Melissa, please.
I work at a school, and we've just learned that Trump signed an executive order to completely eliminate the Department of Education, which funds the majority of our school. I could lose my job because of this, and I want to know why this is in the interest of Hoosiers like myself.
So Department of Education is not what's teaching kids. It's people like you are people on the ground. That's who's teaching kids. Department of Education, average salary of $140,000 a year, that's not what teachers get paid. So we're not talking about moving, taking funding away. We're talking about actually giving this funding to the states more directly, so we eliminate some of the bureaucracy. And it's very interesting. let me tell you, one issue when I was state senator, I disagreed a lot of issues with teachers union, but I work on the regulation of teacher profession, and they did not like all of the federal testing. That is one of the issues. I'm working to help them to provide more flexibility, that they're not teaching to this test, and the teachers have an ability to actually teach kids, and the teachers are rewarded properly, not regulated non-stop with more regulation than even state doing. So in the meantime, we have to think also how we make sure when we send money to the states, we also make sure that states use this money well, because no, they don't always use this money well. That's a different discussion. But we try to see how federal government can do better job at things we should do: national security, protecting the border, have strong military, have interstate commerce, and some of the issues give states ability to innovate and educate kids better, and the more teachers better, that we actually have best and brightest coming into profession, which become very hard. I taught a little bit, I taught at college a little bit, I taught at the public accounting. I didn't teach at schools. I was high school ambassador for some schools. I've seen how tough it is. I have children in schools. I know how tough the job is, but I can tell you, education is not acceptable. But right now, our educational outcomes is not acceptable. Our kids, we're spending more and more money, and our kids don't get knowledge and be able to survive in a society that is fast moving, that requires a lot of new skills. I cannot believe we cannot teach reading, simple mathematics and kids and some simple things. So we have to think about that. And colleges, with the debt that kids accumulated, destroy an opportunity for them. A lot of them with enormous amount of debt and worthless diplomas have to work a big part of their life just to pay off their debt. That is driving very perverse incentives and outcomes when they don't have that. And it's interesting now because it's also some of the high ed, including the President Obama, was more bipartisan issue about educational outcomes, but now it became so partisan that is definitely no one wants to deal with that, but we have to deal with education of our children, because it is national security crisis, because only 30% of our kids, for educational health reasons, are able to join the military, are eligible to join the military. 70% of our kids are ineligible. That is not a good idea. So we have to think. So I want to make sure that the money we are going to fund education, and if we have to good causes, we're going to fund better and come after fraud and abuse, but not a lot of bureaucrats that don't help education in DC. So I think the department did a terrible job in DC. You know, they're doing a terrible job, and we need to do a better job on the ground and help states to deliver better.
I'm sure you're all aware we have less than 30 minutes left, so I want to tell you, I know you appreciate my reminders, how much we appreciate your decorum and civility. I have a question from Christy in Kokomo, number 336. Okay, we'll get a microphone right to you. Thank you so much for your patience. We've got one coming over that way soon, I'm sure. The floor belongs to Mr. Keller, sir. Let's listen, please. It's not your question. Let's turn to the person whose question is now. Thank you.
First of all, Congresswoman, thank you for coming. I know you've seen a lot of what's happened in America and with town halls here recently, and you didn't have to do this, so we thank you for coming. And I'm also, you said it yourself that you're not used to town halls like this, so I'm proud of my fellow Hoosiers that we're getting involved in the process. Our question, you often talked about supporting jobs in the economy, yet you voted against protections for steel workers and automakers in this district, as well as a workers' right to organize, federal workers. You also support an administration that's allowing DOJ to basically cut Social Security and Medicare by removing $880 billion from the departments that administer these services, programs that many working class Hoosiers all depend on. Can you explain how these actions align with your promises to protect American jobs and help working families?
Actually, in spite of a lot of things that people talk about, I actually work with a lot of issues with a variety of unions. And there are some issues we might agree, with some issues we disagree. Actually, in healthcare, that's one of the issues, that is wage suppression as for union labor and as not for union labor. And I told them I can be very strong ally, and we had good meetings recently with them, and I said we can work together and agree on that. I've always been supportive of competition on the market, but I've never been a person who believed that union cannot exist. I think union actually can be very helpful to organize if they serve the people, and if their leadership serves the members, they could actually help in some ways, because when companies come to places like Indiana, and we try to bring manufacturing to Indiana, and we don't just compete with Illinois and Michigan and Ohio, we compete with Tennessee, Texas, Florida, Carolinas. I want to make sure that we have good energy prices, we have water resources, which is requires for a lot of type of jobs, and we have educated labor. And if union has provided this labor, that's fine, but I am not going to support to mandate it, but I'm not against to help good leadership of good unions to deal with issues. And I'm working very closely. I have a variety of them in my district north of here, and we're trying, and President Trump been very supportive, and he actually put in charge of Department of Labor my colleague, who actually lost the race at very pro-labor union, which a lot of Republicans didn't like, but he doesn't look at that union and anti-union. So I do believe that competition should happen. I believe in right to work, but I also believe we can work with unions, and if they have good leadership, they can help the member to have good jobs and have more organized labor, where we can say when company comes to Indiana, we have trained people, we have good people, but they need to offer value. We're not going to be just do protectionists if they're not helping members, and a lot of things were happening in the early 2000s, it wasn't happening. They were not really, serving the members, the leadership. I always separate leadership and the members. And a lot of things happen that, in a lot of other perverse incentives that make industries move to China. We need to bring them back, but we need to be smart, and I'm very open to work with unions, and I have been working with a variety of them, so I always try to find common ground, and if there is any specific issue you are interested, I'll be open-minded regardless of politics. I just said I believe in right to work. I believe in right to work. I believe in the choices. I believe in that. But if unions want to organize, I have no problem with that. And I'd be willing to help them to organize well. But I just said to you, I think I answered your question. I think I answered your question, but hopefully we can find some common ground.
Okay, our next question is from Gail from Cicero, number 473. That's Gail from Cicero, number 473. And I know we've lost some folks, so you may hear my voice more. I'll ask Gail's question for her. She said, do you feel you represent all voters in your district? And do you consider carefully your decisions in light of all constituent wishes? And she added in, based on phone calls, emails, postcards, etc.
Yeah, and I do, and actually, referendum is on all of us, it's election, right? So if you believe, and you will never be able to agree on 100% of the issue. I always say I don't agree with my husband on 100% of the issue, but I try to do my best. First, when I look my decision, see on the law and decision how constitutional it is, because my first oath is to Constitution. Then second, I look, what is the majority of people in my district think, right? And ultimately, I won Senate, and I won 2 elections in here, so ultimately people believe that I did the right thing, majority. I would like to see more common ground and more people from other side be open-minded and vote for me on some issues beyond the party, but ultimately that's a choice you do. You might like someone else, and that's a choice, as we have decided in election. But I do meet with a variety of groups on every issue. I do not take side until I listen to all of the sides. And I try to figure out what is the right call. So I meet with some of the group that disagree with me very vividly. And it's not easy. I'll be honest with you, this town hall wasn't easy, because I know there are a lot of calm people with maybe different views, but I didn't want not to have it, even though, as you know, I wasn't advised by security people, everyone to do it. But I felt like we still need to have a conversation. Regardless, we agree. I need to hear you. I need to hear your voice. I need to hear your frustration. Hopefully I can address some. Maybe some I cannot, but hopefully you stay in touch with me and stay in touch with the office, and we'll have more of that. And I think I appreciate you coming. I'll be honest with you, I do this town halls for a long time. No one else does it, and most of my colleagues advise against it, but I always do that, and I've done it, and we never had such a participation. So when I started going to more participation, we moved, and I tried to find venue a little bit closer by previous venue after we sent a letter. You know, I don't know, maybe we'll start doing stadiums, but I think you might not show up next time. So, but what I'm just saying, we always thought about doing something, at the here at the on 191st Street, the fields, football fields over there. But I was like, well, that's a little bit complicated, right, in Grand Park. So this is probably not that far and everything else. So we'll try to stay in touch, but ultimately, I hope we can have this, and I hope, we can have this conversation, and we might agree on one issue. We're here, so hopefully maybe we'll agree more. But I appreciate the questions, and I'll try to do my best to listen to all of the sides, and you can make decision on November, and ultimately you always have a choice.
We have a question from Jack and Carmel, number 150. Jack and Carmel, 150, okay. I will ask the question. He said this is a constituent request. How have voter service requests to your office changed in 2025? And he noted especially Social Security and appointments, which I'm not entirely sure what he means by that, but he did also add thank you.
Okay, well, I think when we actually try to streamline the website, it's going to launch a website that is a little bit easier, but we haven't done it yet. Hopefully it's going to be soon. Our IT services are not as fast, but hopefully they get better, But you always can, if you have some requests, you can do it through website, but you can also come into office or call into office. We have actually open door policy. Our offices are open. Unless I'll be advised for security reason to have by appointment, but I think, regardless how you feel, my staff are employees of the federal government, so this is, if you don't like something, that's not their fault, they're not there, they're there to serve you, and they not necessarily might agree even with me on the issue, but it doesn't matter, they work there to serve you, so we try to do our best, and I think David has been, for my two predecessors, he's been for a very long time, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people say, we don't even agree with your politics, but David is great. So for me, feedback about my people is most important, my employees, so if we can do better, let us know, but we try to streamline some technology and make websites. So we haven't changed anything, it's still the same, but we'll try to make sure that our website is a little bit user-friendly, because this is a generic website that we had as a freshman, and now I'm trying to make it better. So but I don't think anything changed right now.
We have a question from Deb in Westfield, number 227. Wonderful, we'll get a microphone right to you. Thank you for your patience as one comes right over your way. Perfect, and thank you for the audience for being great listeners right now.
Our middle class has been dwindling for decades, and I really appreciate what everybody's trying to do with tariffs and bringing jobs back here. But what's our middle class going to do in the meantime? They're becoming poorer and poorer. We've already addressed the problem about lack of affordable housing, lack of health care, and now who knows what education's going to look like for these folks. So how do we not only maintain the middle class, but try and grow it?
Well, I think, and President Trump is only there for a few more years, so that he's, the question, this is a huge problem, and I think we need to make sure how we can help more people go in the middle class. Actually, real estate and affordability is one of the issues that a lot of Americans is the biggest asset that Americans own, and allow them to build some wealth and grow and be able to do it. No access to capital, where now small businesses struggle to get access to capital. That's a huge problem to the middle class. So we need to grow the economy. Growth of economy helps with different jobs, but then we also need to see how we're not creating now this environment where large oligopolies close to the government get all of the perks and benefits, and that's reality. That's a reality. That's a reality. They get grants, get subsidy, they get credits. They lobby in Washington, D.C., and they get a lot of benefits, where people in the middle class and people in the lower income not able to get all of this. So I think this is becoming a distortion because unfortunately, if you let politicians to make decisions, not actually the markets, not you, which causes are good, but actually allow that to centralize that power, more and more money go to the wrong causes. So we have to think how the programs we have, they allow people to go from low income to go to middle class, how young people have opportunities to be able to acquire real estate and have good paying jobs. So I think growth of economy is one thing, but I think we need to look on the other side. What are we doing with financial markets? Because ultimately, no matter what it is, even small business, large business, or even family, it's access to finances, be able to build wealth, and how we can have people actually not just living in apartments, but also be able to buy some housing. So I think it's a problem and discussion we have, and we have more and more disparity now with the wealthiest people and the rest. I think this disparity has to be addressed because if we don't have more people in the middle class, the country is not going to be as strong. So we have to look at that, and we try to look. But first, we need to re-energize the growth in the economy because it will help. If we don't have economic growth, it's very difficult because right now we're in trouble financially, and economic growth will help us.
Thank you. We have a question from Barb and Carmel, number 39. Barb and Carmel, number 39. Since Barb isn't here, I'm going to ask her question on her behalf. So, Congresswoman, this is from Barb and Carmel. She says, are you going to vote to continue to fund Ukraine and support NATO?
So, this is a question. I've always been a supporter of NATO. It's an important institution for the security of Europe. We need to make sure that Europeans do better too. We need to make sure that Europeans get to their 2%. Because that's in their interest, so we need to put pressure on them. We need to make sure that Europeans have smarter energy policy because that's an economic interest for them, and we can help in a lot of ways for them. I am not going to be sending blank check to anyone. I am sorry, we have go bankrupt. No blank checks. We need to have strategy, and we need to know where the money are spent. And let's just be very honest, we're dealing with a lot of foreign governments that leaves much to be desired. Okay, let me just stop at that. So we need to be smarter. Any government have to oversee, but when we send money of Americans to foreign countries, we need to be smarter. What we're doing and what it is, so I think that's going to be a conversation about foreign policy, which has been broken. But as you know, strength of NATO is also have to be from inside. Americans cannot constantly pay the check for everyone. We cannot constantly do that. We have to make sure that we have they do their job too, and Europeans step up on that too.
Okay. Our next question is from Dylan from Westfield, number 293. Wonderful. He's right over here, so we'll get a microphone to you very shortly, sir. Thank you.
Like some others, I really do appreciate you being here. After you elected to Congress, you swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. Since you took that oath in January, the current administration has repeatedly ignored the plain text of the Constitution by illegally, by illegally dismantling agencies established by acts of Congress, your branch, even putting Elon Musk in charge of deciding which funds appropriated by your branch will or will not be spent. The president and the executive branch have stolen your exclusive constitutional authority over appropriations. As our elected representative, you should find this completely intolerable.
Microphone, it's not working.
So my question is, when are you going to live up to your oath defend the Constitution, and reclaim the powers that the voters of this district have reserved for you. In other words, when are you going to start doing your job?
We want to be able to hear the answer to this really important question, so let's be quiet so we can hear the Congresswoman's answer,
My
please.
oath to Constitution I take extremely serious, more than anything else. And you might disagree or agree. I actually departed with my party and did quite a lot of things, including the certification of election. I departed with that issue. So I do take it serious and look at things. The fiscal issue that we only Congress looked at, regardless what we like or not. And I honestly, a lot of things that President Trump is doing I like. But I want to make sure that you understand, Congress doesn't look at the 85% of what's happening. That is a broken system that we have to fix. So I am trying, so let me answer the question. I am trying to fix, because regardless what we like or don't like, Congress needs to start doing its job, passing laws, and look at appropriations. I am one person, but I force the Speaker of the United States House to put a working group, and hopefully we'll have some result to how we can reform our budgeting. It's broken. So the question of the presidential branch and the money spending, impounding money, that's a constitutional question, probably should go to Supreme Court to decide, because it's an agreement on that disagreement on that issue. What they can do or not, but what I try to do, regardless what they do, if Congress believes it's right, we have to put it in our appropriations, our reconciliation. If we believe it's not, so we have to start passing law. What did we pass? CR again. We continue passing CRs because it's been neglected for decades. So I've read Constitution, I understand Constitution, that's why I try to change structure. And I fought with my own previous speaker. I took my own speaker down because he didn't want to do his job. And that is not very easy. And I am working with this speaker to try to figure out how we can do a job, which is not very easy to do, coming after your own party, because I believe beyond that I need to start doing job. You might like my votes, but not. But when I have no ability even to vote on that, you have no representation, or someone else who is going to be in this office. So we have to reform the structure. Until that structure is reformed, nothing is going to happen until we pass in CRs and with this. So right now I'm working on reconciliation that will have a vote of the House and the Senate, which actually can be done in this 51 vote, not 60. And we are going to have things in there you're going to see. So you'll be able to see what I vote for and what we agree with President and what we're not. We have actually deliberation with White House right now, with the Senate and the House, and we have to come to an agreement, and you'll be able to do it. So hopefully we'll have some good results. I do my part to find some solution to some of these issues. Unfortunately, it will have to be done on partisan basis. Our appropriations in September will have to be bipartisan. We'll see where we're going to get there. It's very hard, but we'll see where we're going to get there.
The point is,
Let's hear the question asker, please.
the point is, I want you to take those votes. What I don't want is for, after you pass whatever budget, the power that you have to allow the president, a co-equal branch, to say we will not spend that money that you are on the record allocating. So Musk, who has no constitutional role, is deciding where the money that you've decided gets spent. That's wrong, and you should want to reclaim that authority.
And that, we have to focus on in general, whether I agree with what Michael does or not. I agree with you. And the impoundment by that branch has to be resolved in the Supreme Court, because it was passed in our 70s, and that is an issue. That is an issue. So administration is argued one way, Congress another way, And that is, a lot of people believe it's a constitutional issue. The president can't do it. The Congress set the maximum level. If they can do better job with less money, they should be able to do it because that's government efficiency. And a lot of Democrats believe in that. I think this is an issue the court probably should take and resolve and decide it. But regardless what it is, Congress has an ability to direct a lot of the spending in a different way if we pass specific bills, but we don't. We didn't pass even appropriations for a very long time. All of the stuff done through CR, all of the spending, this is not appropriations. We cannot even come up with appropriations now for a very long time. I mean, this is a reality. This is not money that we'll appropriate. Let's just be honest. It's not. So we are not actually passing appropriation. Congress hasn't been able to pass appropriation under previous Congress, with previous branch, and in the current. We cannot even do that because Congress is not doing its job. And I try to do as much as I can to make the Congress to do a job that I even launch a fight against both parties in Congress, which is very hard. Very hard, and I'm trying to do something with this Congress because I can do so much, but as much political capital I spend in to fix this, I don't think anyone else, but I'll try to do my best because I have an agreement with you. Congress has to be appropriating funds. Congress has to be passing appropriations. And we are so deep in the hole that we need to have and actually have a task force to at least move the needle, or some fiscal commission at least move the needle, and we are not doing that.
Be respectful, please. We have just 5 minutes left, and I have a wonderful question from Deb from Noblesville, number 84. I don't know if you're still here. Back? Okay, we'll bring a... I think she's actually... yes. So... this will be our last question. This is Deb from Noblesville.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I wrote this question 3 hours ago. I have no idea what I wrote, so...
We'll bring it back to you, actually. And I apologize. I've only been using first names because I'm trying to be polite.
No,
but we realized there could also be more than 2 Debs from Noblesville, and that's my error. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. First of all, thanks for having this forum. I think we've heard a lot of opinions tonight. My question, words are great. Words mean nothing if there's no action. So my question is, based on the feedback tonight that you've heard, what are you going to do, and what will you have the courage to do?
So I want to make sure that, and we might have actually less disagreement what you're saying, but let me tell you, I want to make sure that we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Congress is actually start doing its job, and I will do to make sure that Congress has as an institution, and I pick a big fight on that. That is number one thing. Number two thing, I'll make sure whatever it takes for us to make sure that we come after fraud and abuse and save programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for the most vulnerable and make it better. Because we have to promise the people, we took people's money. I know that you all have concerns, and I know that you hear a lot of different things. But I'll tell you, what we're trying to do, what I personally trying to do, is to help to make sure that these programs become fiscally sustainable, that we don't have to be increasing taxes on all Americans, that we have an ability for growth of the economy, and we want to make sure that we have a good paying job and have an opportunity for people to go into the middle class and not just for very few on top. So I want to make sure to do that. I understand your frustration with President Trump and Elon and Dodge, and they were elected by majority of Americans. That's a reality. That's a reality. President Trump was elected to be president, and he is by majority of Americans. I know, by majority of the vote, okay? Let's just say that, majority of the vote. I know that you're frustrated, but I I hope, and I know you're frustrated with Elon Musk. He just helps to audit things. As you know, he doesn't have the power on the vote, right? So he helps to show transparency. The Congress will have to decide to put it law or not. And this is the reality. I know that you are very, very well frustrated. And I'll work on some farm and healthcare. We find little common ground here, so that's good. Because maybe we can actually be able. But I hope you stay engaged. I know that, a lot of you frustrated, a lot of you may be upset. But I want to thank you for coming. I know that probably some issues you don't like to hear what I have to say, but hopefully we'll find some things that you like. And hopefully we'll have a discussion and conversation and continue, this dialogue. So hopefully I appreciate you that you didn't make it so bad that my team will refuse to do next town hall. So I appreciate it very much. Hopefully I have now my voice for another 2 hours tomorrow. But I'll stay a little bit here if you have any particular questions for me and my team. I'd be happy to stick around for a little bit. I think we have it till 8 o'clock, but if they allow us to do it, I'll do that. And I want to thank everyone, and hopefully we'll continue these participations in town halls. But thank you so much. May God bless you and your families, and thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Sometimes it goes beyond where they try to, force kids into transgender surgery, which has become very polarized, was actually respecting people's views. I respect people's views, what they want to do, as other people don't tell me what to do. But I think no one should feel unsafe, and we need to make sure that we address if that is happening. It's actually an issue of public safety. And I think that issue has to be addressed, and if people feel that way, the schools need to be addressed, the school needs to be addressing this issue, law enforcement needs to be addressing this issue, because no kid, everyone has the right to do what they want to do. We shouldn't infringe on other people's right, but people, have their own things, and actually some of my strongest supporters, and there's a lot of young people actually were gay guys, and they were very supportive of me, and we might, think a different views on something, but I have a lot of views that agree, and they're my strong supporters. I'll be honest with you. So I have no personal problem with it. But if you want to send the bill, I'll
send it to you. Would you look
at it?
I
used to be a state senator. I will take a because I don't want just the bill without seeing it.
Yes, but it's people like Amazon, like Bezos, like Musk, interfering with our elections, which should never happen. He is buying votes, and I hope you are against that.
Unfortunately, big money in Washington, D.C. has been running this country for a very long time.
So why do you support Doge, and why do you support Musk? If you believe in that, Doge is breaking the law, and you know it at every corner. They have broken laws at every turn. But thank you for being here.
The Major Richard Starr Act, is that going to get a vote this year?
We're working on that, and I have some other good issues for veterans, because you guys are the best, and I will never let you down. We need to actually do things that will help people, that actually that sacrifice their life for us, and veterans that go there. So we need to do a better job and stop wasting money on things that are wrong. And that's what we're trying to do. Look at our federal government and try to do things that are better, and then stop doing things that are waste. And this is something that you always, have to decide what it is. But veterans should be first to me. And we have a lot of discussion. I know that you come a lot to DC, and you're the strongest lobby for veterans in Indiana, and I love you for what you're doing.
But thank you for supporting veterans.
No, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Congresswoman, I have a quick question.
We're done.
Questions are done. Ms. Spartz. Okay, we clarify.
Ms. Spartz, одне питання від військових з України.
So I think the disconnect, I say the disconnect starts at somebody that has a net worth of $25 million. And when you are when you have constituents that make way less than what her net worth is, you become disconnected very, very quick. And that's a problem in all of government right now. Most congressmen and women are worth several $1 million, if not more. There's several billionaires. There's an entire cabinet full of billionaires. That's not the way that government used to be, and suddenly we're looking at something that sounds like an oligarchy. And Bernie Sanders has been saying that for 20 some odd years.
So Victoria Spartz wants us to believe that Elon Musk is actually in there, rooting out fraud and abuse. This currently is the current mantra they always say, fraud and abuse. Well, we actually have people in the government who do that. It's called the Inspectors General. And yet the first thing Trump did when he entered office was fire the inspectors general, right? All of this is performative. It's not designed to find real waste. It's designed to come up with an excuse for cutting benefits.
She largely did not answer any of the questions that was given to her, right? So I came in with a question that did not get answered, but I wanted to ask her, like, hey, you said that the CR bill that you voted on, it would add $24 trillion to the debt, and you promised us it was not going to cut into any of our benefits such as Medicaid, food stamps, or student loans, but now we are seeing, well, we always knew that indeed that they are cutting those programs. So how can we trust her when she says one thing and the reality is entirely different?